And welcome back to PSA TV. This is the Wake Up Call here with me, Christy Kali Singh. And I'm joined on the phone by the Secretary of the Fishermen and Friends of the Sea, Mr. Gary Aboud. Good morning to you, Mr. Aboud.
Good morning, Christy, and good morning to your audience. Can you hear me clearly?
Sure we can, loud and clear. How are you this morning?
We're very sad, but doing my best to keep a bright spirit, but very sad. It seems as though we're losing our country.
Yeah.
We're in a state of civil war, and our leaders don't seem to recognize that we are being attacked. And not only are we being attacked by pirates and bandits, but we're being attacked by government itself.
Quite so.
I don't feel very positive right now. I don't want to sound dismal to your audience, but
No, I think it's reality. And at some point we have to face what is happening in our country.
yesterday there was a publication in the newspaper, and when the PNM is in power, they accuse me of being a UNC, and when the UNC, they accuse me of being a PNM. Now they will accuse me of being a supporter of independent runners, but yesterday there was an announcement in the paper that the government has proceeded with legislation, fisheries legislation, which, I mean, it's true, because when the statement is made that Trinidad and Tobago has the oldest fishery legislation of every nation on the planet, it says a lot about Trinidad and Tobago. Every other country in the entire world has more modern legislation. So, I mean, it's a frightening reality that here we are being murdered. Our men, we had the largest mass murder in the history of our island and in the history of the Caribbean territorial region. The largest mass murder at sea, with 7 men chopped and stabbed and broken arms and thrown overboard. And, the government are talking about new legislation instead of talking, directly as a state of national emergency as to what we're doing to help and to protect our citizens. My nephew lives in St. Anne's, and he was murdered last week Monday just sitting at home. A man came in with a gun and he fought like hell, as we should all do, fight with our lives to protect our lives and those of our loved ones, but he was shot and he succumbed to his wounds. And so it's murder at sea and murder on land, that every day we still hear the same thing. But I mean, the police officers and the protective services are doing a lot. I'm not saying no, and I'm not criticizing them, but clearly it's not working. And unless the government have some sense of public participation, what it boils down to is we're living in a democratic dictatorship where whoever wins an election says, well, I am in power. I am going to tell you what we're going to do. This is the plan. Wake up one morning, yesterday it was announced, they're borrowing $1.5 billion TT dollars again to do road works, road infrastructure, they say. But ask anybody in Trinidad and Tobago, our roads and our pavements are falling apart. Everywhere that we have roads are in disrepair. But the government is borrowing money to pay back interest, and our children and grandchildren will have to pay back to build new roads. So, any aspect of national development that we look at, there's a vacuum and a sense of hopelessness to people who are in the know. And we are still to hear from one technical expert, one independent technical expert, who does not have a party card or an affiliation with either of the two mainstream parties and doesn't have any ambition for mainstream politics or for personal profit, that any institution in Trinidad and Tobago is working. So we're sinking. We're in a country that's sinking, and no one wants to think about it. Everyone just wants the CPAP worker He is only considering what he can get. I'm a big supporter, and I've been a big supporter of CPAP, but I just drove past a CPAP gang, and the CPAP worker is working a private compound, and the gang is
Interesting.
outside on the main road, so they're taking private work on the outside. So there's a sense of demoralization that runs through the entire nation because you're seeing leaders stealing. So if a child sees daddy stealing from mommy, what is the example we set for the child?
Yeah.
So we're in a state, and now they're bringing. Republic. We are functioning like a neutered child who cannot speak, cannot think, and does what we're told to do. And I despise this about our people and about our nation. And I know some people in our nation who risk their lives to come out and say the right things, regardless of the consequence. Your leader is a man like that. Your leader, the PSA man, Mr. Watson Duke, is a man like that. He's outspoken, he's fearless. Whether or not we agree or disagree with everything that he has said over the past years of his meritorious service, I appreciate the fact that he's willing to take a chance to stand up and be counted. And we need more people like that. We need more people to stand up and fight for our people because we are under attack.
I believe that too many times people suffer in silence. And we speak a lot about what we want to see. And I think to some extent we know what we have to do, but it's just a matter of acting and doing the right thing.
And now they're killing us, they're murdering our children.
It's very
This has been
unfortunate.
going on and on. My brother spoke out about, and he got chastised for it in no small measure, about how it appears that the society has a different value for life itself. So see, lots of people are being murdered, and no one seems to take note of it. We just kind of discount it.
Do you think that we
But
have
see, look,
become too desensitized, and we've lost some sort of morals and ethics in society, that we've just normalized everything happening around us?
well, see, as a person, my grandfather came to Trinidad. He was an immigrant. He came from Syria. My grandmother came with him. both sides of my mother and my father. My mother was born here. My father came at 3 years old and died 5 years ago at the age of 85. So my forefathers have 90 years. My family have 90 years living in Trinidad. And I am what you would call a Syrian, and I'm Syrian Lebanese. And I'm very proud, as every Indo, Afro, and Asian citizen of every nationality should be proud of their heritage. But I've lived my whole life with all kinds of racial attacks against me, as every other citizen has lived their lives. The Indians have had their share. They were locked out of education, they were locked out of the society for decades upon decades. The Africans suffer the same consequence, and it is a reality that the society is segregated based on race. It's something that we have to face up to. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. It is real, and it is sad. And as citizens, we have to hold each other arm in arm and fight against it, because it's diabolic, it is evil. But there are other things that are less recognized that are also reality. We are a classist society. So if a rich man loses a telephone, like when the minister's son lost his telephone, because he is the highest class at the top of the political pecking order, the whole national security go on a national alert to collect a cell phone. But 7 poor Indo and Afro Trinidadians, poor and black, get murdered in the Gulf of Paria, and the whole society is asleep. The political directorate hardly even blink their eye, and then make color statements like Fitzgerald Hines. I like Fitzgerald. He's a Rastafari. I like Rastafari, and I respect Rastafari. But his statements defy the wisdom and sensibility and sensitivity of Rastafari. It's a hoodlum kind of statement that he made. And then backtrack it to say that we are political antagonists. We are not political antagonists. I voted for Dr. Rowley. That's my seat. I supported and went to meetings. Oh, you can say that we don't attack the government just without reason, but where is the national alert? Where is the national sensitivity? And our citizens, because we are so riddled with race, many of our fishermen reject Gary Aboud, reject FFOS. We are a national body that have represented citizens in so many wide situations. But because I am what they call a 1% Syrian, I have a successful small company. We employ about 100 people. You could come and ask my people about me. Of course, some of them, our blood doesn't fuse as much as others, but I respect and love everybody and have all races, all ages. This is a country that we're living in that is being torn apart by ourselves and being attacked by those who seek to profit from it. Bandits in shirt and tie sitting in cabinet, and bandits on the ground with knife and gun and cutlass. So unless we the people can say to ourselves, but look, oh my God, in heaven, we need to be together, pray together, bring together all the religions, Islam and Hinduism and Christianity and Baha'i, and everybody come together and take back our country. We are losing a war. We are losing a war, and we are already in a state of civil war. People don't want to recognize that we are in war. They want to see what is a peaceful nation and a loving nation. But look at just imagine that we had the largest mass murder in the history of our country, and the government has not hardly even blinked an eye.
We were talking about the state of our country, and I just wanted you to touch briefly on something that took place over this week here. An MOU was signed between the government and the regulated fishing and fishing related activities and relevant trade. a fishing MOU basically was signed. This would now see all fishing vehicles being mandated to have GPS tracking devices. Now, yesterday, some fishermen would have said to me that, this is expensive and to some extent it doesn't really benefit them. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's not a simple question because there are about 1,000 different types of obligations that come out of this new international requirement for fishing. And although FFOS supports many of these introductions, it does not matter whether we support it or not, but the public who are to be most affected have a right to be consulted and a right to be empowered by what is being proposed. And herein lies the problem. Part of these regulations that they're introducing are constructive and progressive, but part of it is restrictive and incriminating and totally, unbelievably, overbearingly bullying. So, there's so many retarded inclusions. One has to wonder if the Minister of Fisheries has even read it. The fisheries officers who worked there, they're claiming that there was consultation, but there was no consultation. There were only 5 or 6 organizations who were ever asked to comment on the document, and they were not given copies of the document. FFOS had to threaten the fisheries division with demonstration and that we would come and block the doorways if they didn't give us a copy of the document that they were meeting to consult on. So what kind of retarded behavior is that you're going to have a consultation, but the document that you're being consulted on, a 300-page document, nobody has gotten copies of it. And yesterday I speak to the director of fisheries, and she's telling me, but we consulted on it. I said, but nobody had a copy of the document. You cannot hold a meeting and hold people's hands and smile in their faces and give them a roti and a rum and say that was a consultation. Consultation in terms of a technical document that is going to restrict and guide the fisheries probably for another 100 years has to have technical advice and expertise. In 2009, FFOS employed lawyers and had nationwide consultation. We rented a place in Chaguanas, and week after week, we had different organizations come in for full detailed consultation where the proposed law was thoroughly ventilated. And now what they have given us is a brand new document that instead of a fine being 1,000 TT and 1,500 TT, they've increased fine 1,000-fold to become 1,500. What is it? 150,000 US. You have to understand for instance, I'll give you an example of one of the insulting, dictatorial, and offensive clauses. If a fisherman takes an underage child to sea to fish, you could get locked up, lose your boat, your engine, your net, and your car, and lose your license to fish for an indefinite period. And you have no judicial right, like in a normal court of law where you could get a lawyer and appeal. You have to go before the director of fisheries, and what they say is final. So if you're a person like Gary Aboud who speaks out, or any of the FFOS members who are willing to say that the fisheries division and the government are bullying and brutalizing fishermen and fisherfolk and poor people and black people in the most crudest way, and you're willing to say that, and they catch you fishing without your fishing permit in your pocket or with the slightest offense, the director of fisheries, who is politically appointed, can victimize you for the rest of time and you'll never be able to fish again.
Wow.
So it doesn't comply. No, to tell you the truth, Christy, we have been calling for these laws and calling for these regulations. But the good parts we are calling for, not the bad parts.
Yeah.
It's like in 1997 when they brought the Planning and Development of Land Bill. We have been calling for an upgrade of the Town and Country Planning Act since inception. But what they have done, when they bring the Planning and Development of Land Bill, they chuck in all kind of evil things to bully people and to create more power for a paranoid and dictatorial approach to government. And we don't support dictatorship, which is where we live, in a banana republic dictatorship. People want to think we live in this progressive nation. It's not a progressive nation. It's a backyard slipping nation with corrupt, thieving politicians, as a la Marlene McDonald. You can see all of the charges. You crooked governments, Jack Warner. Look at the UNC bandits, and before that, I mean, government after government, back to the most evil forefather of them, Eric Williams. And so we have a long history of bandits in public office, and the country now is demoralized, racist, and classist. So we're in a state of where those who want to take advantage can just rush in and steal. It's like if you have a school of fish that isn't unified to protect itself, the attackers can just feed at will on the vulnerable and innocent. And this is very, very sad.
All right, Mr. Aboud, I don't mean to cut you off, but we are running out of time, so I'm going to ask you your closing comments before we head.
The closing comments is that anybody that wants to join us, anybody that feels strongly about our country and wants to fight for our country, now is the time. Because every day we are losing ground. It's like a tug of war. You can't pull after you're near to losing. Once you start sliding and losing, there's no return, there's no hope. So now we have a last chance. Hopefully we do. Now is the time we have to get together and unify behind leaders who we have faith in, who are holy and honest and fair. And if not, God forever hold your peace. God help us.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Aboud. I want to thank you so much for your contribution on our show this morning. Very vibrant, of course, commenting there on the new developments happening in the fishing industry and matters on the whole. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, PSC. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.